It's almost May, which means that Florida is preheating and summer is just around the corner. Now, if you've been delaying starting your garden and you're wondering if there's anything that you can plant now, it's not too late, because today I'm going to share with you my top 4 heat-tolerant, disease-resistant, easy-to-grow crops that you can get started today and have a bountiful harvest in the fall. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Christina with Forever Food Forest, a channel where I explore ways of growing food without the use of herbicides, pesticides, or commercial fertilizers. And instead, I rely on permaculture gardening principles and other natural farming techniques to grow food that's good for the garden and good for the planet. Ain't you already got a bunch of videos about this? Florida ma'am, everybody. I actually have 2 videos. One covers heat-tolerant herbs and another one talks about heat-tolerant plants for container gardening. And both of those will be linked down in the description below. But with the current state of the economy, today's video, I wanted to focus on survival crops. I hear that. And with the price of eggs, y'all gonna have to get real resourceful. But Wild, if you're suggesting what I think you're suggesting, you're a monster. Country folks can survive. Old Bocephus. I got a 4-wheel drive. You drive a Subaru. Survival crops are nutrient-dense crops that are easy to grow, high-yielding, and sometimes high-calorie, but most importantly, they can be stored for long periods of time. When the outside temperatures get hot enough to sizzle shrimp on the grill of your Chevy, the last thing you're going to want to do is be outside weeding, which is why this next crop is a superstar. It is used as a ground cover, but at the end of its life cycle, you're also going to get sweet potatoes. For those of you who don't know, sweet potatoes are not truly a potatoes. They're tubers, and they thrive in the Florida heat and humidity. They require about 6 months of warm temperatures, and they're virtually maintenance-free. They are truly one of those crops you just plant in the ground and you can leave for 6 months, come back and harvest. So if you want to start growing sweet potatoes, you're going to need sweet potato slips. Now, of course, you can buy those. However, you can also make your own with sweet potatoes from the store. Simply submerge a sweet potato halfway in a cup of water, or you can just bury the whole thing in the ground and wait for it to sprout. Now, fall would not be complete without a pumpkin harvest, but if you've ever tried growing pumpkins in Florida, you know that the high humidity is a breeding ground for plant diseases. However, there is one heirloom variety that is completely pest and disease resistant, and that is the Seminole pumpkin. Seminole pumpkins taste a lot similar to regular pumpkins, and just like sweet potatoes, they can be preserved after harvest for later use. And what do you know? We got a Seminole pumpkin plant right here. This next crop is heat tolerant, humidity tolerant. It makes a great ground cover, and it also fixes nitrogen into your soil. And I'm talking about peanuts. Whether you roast them, boil them, or make them into butter, peanuts make a great survival crop. They're also high calorie and they grow like a weed. And to plant them, you just need to get yourself a bag of raw peanuts like this. You don't want them roasted. Roasted ones are not going to sprout. And you can just plant them directly in the shell. That's going to take a little bit longer for them to sprout. Or you can shell them and just plop this right in the ground. Did you know that peanuts are not actually nuts? They're a legume. Peanuts are an excellent way to build your soil, and they also make great companion plants. That's why I like to incorporate them into a guild with nitrogen-loving perennials. And what you can do with the greens is you can just use them as a mulch on top of the garden bed when you're done. But check this out. If they're flowering, it means that they are ready to harvest. So let's pull this one up. Homegrown peanuts. Look at this. Now, I hate to admit, but I have been sleeping on this next crop for years. Not only is it surprisingly super low maintenance, it's also really high in protein. It can be grown vertically, which means that not only will it help you maximize your harvests and your growing space, it will also create a natural shade structure to help shield your sensitive plants from the hot summer sun. What am I talking about? I'm talking about cowpeas. Cowpeas are also nitrogen fixers, so growing them will help improve poor soils. Not only do they fix nitrogen through their roots, the greens can be chopped and used as a natural mulch during the fall planting season. Right before I left, I planted some cowpeas. This was just from one bean. All of this. Cowpeas are also known as black-eyed peas, and for the most part they are pest resistant, although these did get infested with ants. Now, considering that I have not maintained this for the last 3 months, they are doing really good. Cowpeas. Now, I often get the question of where is the best place to get seeds. I can't recommend any seed growers in particular because most of the time I go to our local seed exchange. You can also ask community gardens, ask your neighbors, create a community, because I just don't like how commercialized gardening has become. And for me, it's more of like an engagement with community, because when it comes to survival, it's just as much about your community as it is about being self-sufficient. That's a paradox. Gardening in Florida, we are blessed with a year-round climate where we can grow lots of food, and I hope that you don't sleep on the opportunity to grow these crops during the summer. While summers in Florida can be hot with temperatures reaching into dangerous territory, growing these low-maintenance crops ensures that you will have food come fall, and not only that, they will also help improve your soil for the fall season. Now, folks, trying to fight against nature in Florida is like trying to swim against the current, okay? You're just gonna tire yourself out. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get yourself a nice cold beverage and you're gonna float on down that river until the cicadas stop singing. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Like if you want to see more content like this. I have a bunch more heat related videos coming up. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.